Good morning, guys. Welcome back to my channel. This is Coach DC from All 22 Films. I've had a bunch of suggestions for Skyler Gill-Howard film. So here we go. I'm actually going to talk about the Lions' defensive line in some. I'll be honest with you, they were quite impressive in the game against the Commanders. I understand that the Commanders, only played their starters for one possession. For, Jaden Daniels, Stephon Diggs, among others. Not exactly sure on the quality of some of the offensive linemen that are going to be out there in the course of this video, but I've got 9 plays queued up. We'll talk about multiple guys here. This is, of course, the second play of the game. Again, the starters are out there from a Washington Commanders standpoint. We're going to blitz Maddox off the edge. Wanham is going to work to the inside. It's a play action concept off a split zone, meaning the offensive line is working in one direction, in this case to the right-hand side of our screen, and the H-back / tight end, illustrated by that orange line, is going in the other direction. It happens to be play action, so it's not a give to the running back. Can't be split zone. I'm just talking about the method in which the quarterback is protected, or at least the way he's supposed to be. Wanham fights through this tight end's block. This is a mismatch, obviously, in the Lions' favor. There's no tight end that's going to be able to dig this guy out of here, number one, and or prevent him from stunting to the inside, getting to the quarterback. Even though Jaden Daniels is obviously extremely athletic, Wanham is able to bring him down. Wanham actually had 1.5 sacks on the game. Unfortunately, the second sack, split sack with Skyler Gill-Howard, didn't count because of a penalty. Here's the play that I'm referring to, a split sack between Skyler Gill-Howard and DJ Wanham. It's a 4-man rush. Initially, from a Detroit Lions perspective, they're doing a couple of things here in preseason involving Devin White from a blitz standpoint or possibly a readout standpoint. So let me explain what I'm talking about here. White actually runs into Skyler Gill-Howard. That might work out in the Lions' benefit on this particular snap. Violent smack to the inside here, swat with the inside arm by Skyler Gill-Howard, and then attempt to swim over the top. You can see he's obviously smaller than this offensive lineman, but very quick, ultra powerful, if you ask me, even though, maybe the arm length isn't ideal. In this case, Devin White runs into him, and that might actually create like a little bit of a bowling ball effect because Skyler Gill-Howard splits those two offensive blockers, and then DJ Wanham, who's, pass rush technique on this particular play, not particularly impressed with, talking about over here off the right-hand side, ends up kind of falling down or turning into the sack. I think he recognizes that the quarterback's probably getting ready to step up, but nonetheless, the left tackle also kind of shoves him or throws him away. When I want to talk about Devin White and this kind of read blitz, I'm referring to Derek Barnes and Devin White probably both reading this running back. Banjo read, whatever you want to call it. And since the running back peels, in this case, to our left-hand side, Barnes goes with him, and then Devin White becomes the add-on blitzer. That's why a moment ago I said it was a 4-man rush from a design standpoint. These 4 guys here, whichever inside linebacker does not take the running back is going to blitz. So, for example, if the running back was to peel behind and or across the quarterback's face, my suspicion is that Devin White would go with him in coverage, and then you would get Derek Barnes as the add-on blitzer, the 5th guy trying to get to the quarterback. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. It didn't really matter because this split sack between Gill-Howard and Wanham was negated by a penalty on Keith Abney. Another play I think that reflects really well on Skyler Gill-Howard. There's a 3-man setup to the left-hand side. Wanham, Gill-Howard, and Wingo, and then Derek Moore all over here by himself off the right-hand side. So there's 2 stunts that are happening here. It's a 3rd and 9 on that same possession that I just talked about, the second drive for Washington. Now, Rock Ya-Sin is going to be in coverage. He's going to flash across our screen and tackle De'Ami Brown well short of the line to gain here and force a punt. But pay attention to Skyler Gill-Howard first couple of times through. So he's working upfield through the B gap. He does take a punch from the right guard, a pretty significant one that dislodges him or disrupts his posture, but he plays through it. I mean, this is a very strong individual, if you ask me. Low center of gravity. The Commanders' right side of the offensive line does not do a good job picking up this stunt here, if you ask me. Skyler Gill-Howard is straight through the B gap. The offensive tackle too late here to try to take him over. I think this is Wanham going underneath. Skyler Gill-Howard now has a lane to the quarterback for a pressure. Like I said, completion to De'Ami Brown off the left-hand side of our screen. Rock Ya-Sin tackles him well short. I'm going to pull this back a little bit, talk about something that I don't really like. It's not a player perspective. Derek Moore had a rush, I think 2 plays prior to this one, maybe 3, but in any case, where he rushed to the inside and he annihilated the left guard. If you're not aware or you didn't check it out already, I did a film study on Derek Moore earlier this week, and I talked about that play in particular, as well as his sack and a couple of other run stops, one of which we'll focus on here. But in any case, I don't like this stunt. I think that Wingo just has too far to go. I'm not talking about these 2 guys to the left. I'm talking about Wingo moving all the way across underneath of that pick, shield, whatever you want to call it, by Derek Moore. Unless Wingo is running it incorrectly, I'm not sure. I'm just not a huge fan of him looping around that far. It worked out in the Lions' favor. Gill-Howard generated the pressure through the B-gap, and then Rock Ya-Sin did a great job in man coverage on De'Ami Brown, running across the field and tackling him well short, like I said, to force a punt. I enjoyed the fact that Kelvin Shepard, Dan Campbell, and the Lions defensive staff used so many defensive linemen. They gave us a really great look. And in fact, I almost did a separate standalone video on Levi Onwuzurike. Extremely impressive from a lateral agility standpoint, number one. Perhaps he pops up and his pad level raises up. He's very tall. If he can stay healthy and play like this, I think it's going to be a huge boost to the Lions defensive line. Makes them really deep all the way across the board, if you ask me. So it's a third possession, a run concept away from him. Really weird, unusual, slow motion across here, right to left. And then the wide receiver tries to really dive at Derek Moore's feet. But it's run action away from Levi. And this is a great job of splitting the 2 offensive linemen on the move. Now, I'm not saying that 73 is super athletic here. Essentially, the idea is you got to scoop the B-gap defender on the backside, whether he's in a 3 technique or a 4-eye. If everybody's going to be working here, then you've got to get control of him as the backside guy and either get to his front side shoulder or just take him all the way down in the direction he wants to go, such that the running back at some point can maybe bring this back underneath. I'm talking about if you're able to collapse Onwuzurike all the way down to the right-hand side of the midline. That's not the case here. He does a great job of A, staying in the gap, the B gap, and B, staying behind the running back as well. The cut dive did not work on Derek Moore at all here by number 14. Not sure who that is. Levi Onwuzurike looks healthy. He looks explosive, very agile, finished a number of plays like this one going down the line of scrimmage, 2 of which he's involved in the tackle. I'll give you both of them here to break down from my perspective, and then you guys let me know what you think in the comment section. Same drive for Washington and the same idea from an Onwuzurike standpoint. It's going to be run action away from him. He's located over here on the left-hand side of the Lions defense, the right side portion of our screen. Run action away one more time. I think it's Katron Allen. So I don't have the offensive lineman drawn up here as far as the right tackle that he's lined up against, but Onwuzurike is in a 4-eye. He's inside shade of that tackle. If you're unsure of what that is, I would consider this to be a 3. So he's outside shade of the guard as opposed to being inside shoulder or inside shade of the tackle. So we'll go back to the play that I'm trying to talk about here, and you can hopefully now discern or notice the differential in his alignment. A 4-eye still can't get scooped. You still got to control, maintain the B gap on this run action away. The tight end is just trying to scoop on the backside, either Derek Moore, he's just trying to close off on the gap side, either Derek Moore or Avonte Maddox, whoever shows up first, prevent them from pursuing on the backside. This is phenomenal work by Onwuzurike, man. They're trying to basically cut him, sprawls by getting his hands out, maybe misfires here on the initial punch, but his hips back, and then pushes the guy down, keeps working laterally to get involved with the tackle. In fact, he's the first guy that makes contact. I felt like some of these guys on the front side, Lacey, here it's Barnes, did a really nice job of just slamming the front door, meaning We're going to make you wind it back or bring it back to our pursuit from the backside or inside out. But at the same time that that's happening, Onwuzurike is pushing the ball to the sideline. So what we're talking about here is Barnes slamming the door, Onwuzurike running down the line after avoiding or evading the cut block. He's pushing the ball further this direction. They are smashing the run concept between them. I think it's Lacey 93 is there as well on the ground. So his body's in the way, but there's multiple players for the Lions, in the middle of that scrum. Great play from Levi Onwuzurike. That to me right there tells me that he is really healthy and prepared to contribute if he can stay with this type of activity level. I wonder what his snap count will look like, to be honest with you. I talked about this play in the Derek Moore film study, like I said, that I put out earlier this weekend. This is going to be his first career sack, albeit one that's in the preseason, so it won't carry over statistically, obviously. It's a 3rd and 5 against the right tackle for Washington. He's trying a little bit of a disappearing move with his right arm. And then you'll see using his outside hand to perhaps control the wrist very briefly and then rip underneath, go get the quarterback who perceived some pressure off the other side. Now that pressure comes from Hassanin. Only really going to mention him twice in this video. Won't really talk about Tyleik Williams either. Tyleik Williams only played 8 snaps. Didn't really have an impact from the standpoint of what's happening on the field. So you're getting a stunt where the D tackle goes upfield. Hassanin loops underneath. Once again, very similar to what Skyler Gill-Howard used before. And here he is trying to rip and go underneath again. This to me looks like something that he can be used to do often. Skyler Gill-Howard I'm talking about. The quarterback perceives the pressure from Hassanin, and that's what causes him to peel out to the left to try to escape. This is a designed pass rush, okay? A 4-man rush. The idea here is, in my opinion, is you give this defensive tackle a B-gap lane to go through, more a topside rush, hard-coded, whatever your best speed rush, outside rush is. Then Skyler Gill-Howard up the field, Hassanin loop underneath. In my opinion, what they're trying to do conceptually is very similar to what Mike McDonald, Aiden Durde, and the Seattle Seahawks do often. Close out the middle escape pass for the quarterback, and then let this guy chase you down from behind, because we're kind of leaving the side door open, if you will, here, where Skyler Gill-Howard's getting upfield. Hassanin has disappeared from view, obviously, because I've magnified or zoomed in. I think that's all by design. I think it's a schemed up 4-man pass rush. It doesn't really matter whether you believe me or not. It functionally works out the way that I'm describing. Moore's first sack ended that possession for Washington late in the second quarter. A lot of things going on here. This is the first possession of the third quarter. Washington's going to go down and break the 7-7 tie to take a 3-point lead. So we're going to focus on Wingo here. It's a 4-man rush scheme. Hassanin is dropping out. So Hassanin is located on the 3 o'clock position of your screen, the right-hand side. He's going to drop out and recognize a screen in the middle of the play. He doesn't make the tackle. It's Wingo who does. There's a nickel blitz off the left-hand side. I believe it's Keith Abney. Quarterback briefly is selling pass to that side. Wingo, again, slanting to the right with Gill-Howard and Derek Moore. Well, Derek Moore's not really slanting to the right. Derek Moore's just trying to run through the face of the right tackle. So a little bit different from Wingo and Gill-Howard. But in any case, Wingo recognizes it now. Okay, I got here too soon, too easy, too quick. This is too simple. Let me put my cleats in the ground, retrace my steps, and go make the tackle for no gain on Katron Allen, the Penn State product. As an aside, I think the D-line coaching looks improved this year, in my opinion. Across the board, guys are recognizing things quicker. A screen here, turning and retracing your steps. Hassanin, zone dropped out, which is somewhat unusual for him. And then is able to recognize the screen, get downhill. He's not involved in the tackle. Wingo finishes it off solo. Once again, like I said, no gain on the play. There's a lot to like about this particular snap. This is later on that same possession. Like I said, Washington's going to go down and break the 7-7 tie on the opening drive of the third quarter. Derek Moore is going to make the tackle here at the end. I believe he's supported by Dan Jackson, who's down here at free safety. This is Kelvin Shepherd in Detroit's kind of FU look to anything with two tight ends to one side. So you can see there's two tight ends set up over here to one side. They've got Onwuzurike as an edge defender from a base 3-4 personnel standpoint, walked up one of the other inside linebackers. In addition, walked up a safety. So just overwhelming Washington at the point of attack, or at the perceived point of attack, the side where there's two tight ends. And sure enough, that's where Washington runs the football. Moore on the backside, kind of patient. I feel like his pad level raises up a little bit here. Now, granted, I do zoom in, so perhaps it makes it a little misleading. I'd like him to be a little bit more flat and square, longer. You do get a really nice job initially by 90. I think that's Smith. And then once again, we've got Onwuzurike in the B gap, trying to maintain that B gap on a run concept away from him, and he does it. This guard perhaps moved up too soon to the second level. Rodriguez, all that jersey, that blue jersey flashing in front of the running back is why he decided to cut this thing all the way back. It's a brilliant job, in my opinion, by Onwuzurike. Reminds me in many ways, different body type, of Nnamdi Madubuike, formerly Justin Madubuike, meaning on run concepts away from Madubuike, he just never gets scooped. You cannot do it if he's healthy. Hopefully Madubuike is healthy for the Ravens this year. This looks like a guy, because of maybe body composition, size, strength, but also get off, quickly responding to the snap, staying in that B gap, pushing the ball towards the sideline. And in this case, he's pushing the ball towards the sideline. These guys have closed the front door, nowhere for the running back to go. He tries to escape, and Derek Moore's waiting out the back door. Great job, if you ask me, from a run defense standpoint. Like I said, still Washington took a 10-7 lead. Last play that I'll give you here to break down, and then I'll give you some summary thoughts at the end. I'm impressed with this group so far in the preseason. Things could change in the regular season. Maybe lose one or two guys for various reasons, and the D-line looks different. I think this is a deeper group than people perceive it to be, but we'll find out once the regular season starts. Conceptually, we got the same thing here for Skyler Gill-Howard. A run concept away from him. He's a B-gap defender. I would say he's a wide 3 right now because he's tilted slightly in terms of his upper body, number 1. Number 2, his eyes are keying the guard. A 4-eye, their eyes generally key the offensive tackle. I do recognize that he is lined up inside shade of the tackle, but he appears to be focusing on the left guard, if you ask me. As soon as he sees action, he is gone. This guy's got a great get off here, not really trying to engage anyone with his hands other than use his right arm here to rip just enough to clear that left tackle. It's Katron Allen once again. Feel bad for the guy. I like Katron Allen. His film at Penn State, very rugged, tough ball carrier, guy who stuck around for a long time, number 1. Number 2, was able to carry the ball some games 15, 18, 20 times if they needed him to. He had nowhere to go in so many of these situations. This is one of them. Skyler Gill-Howard from the backside, number 1. Number 2, Onwuzurike has annihilated everything on the front side. So Gill-Howard, again, forgive the analogy if you don't like it, he's pushing the ball to the sideline. Onwuzurike is setting an edge, a hard edge right here. There is nowhere for the football to go. Tackle for loss by Skyler Gill-Howard. Detroit was up 14-10. Eventually here they held Washington to a field goal to preserve that 14-13 lead. I wasn't sure what to think, to be honest with you, when the Lions drafted Skyler Gill-Howard late in the 2026 draft. I should also mention I didn't cover anything about Eric O'Neal. I'm going to do a separate standalone video on him. He had a great possession late in the fourth quarter. 3 consecutive plays that he made, 1 tackle, 1 hurry, pressure on the quarterback, and then a stunt to the inside to clear a lane for a second or third level defender to make a quick tackle. So I've omitted him from this study, admittedly. I'm aware of that. But getting back to Skyler Gill-Howard, it's easy for him to be overshadowed on college film, right? At Texas Tech, at least, for his final year. David Bailey, Jacob Rodriguez, among others out there making plays, garnering a lot of attention. I saw Skyler Gill-Howard on film, very explosive, quick off the ball. Didn't know, obviously, that the Lions or Ravens or anyone was going to draft him. He's playing well in the preseason. Um, how often that means he gets on the field or not, I think really depends on one thing. How healthy is Levi Onwuzurike and some of the other guys that are going to be on the field, Lacey, Smith, perhaps, a few others. If they're ready to go, then Gill-Howard might be waiting in the wings. He does look like a guy, however, that you could put him on the field for a limited amount of time in a regular season game, 6 plays, 8 plays, what have you, and you're going to get insane energy / effort, an excellent explosion as soon as the ball is snapped. His best attribute at the NFL level right now, from what I see in a very small sample size, I know, his best attribute so far is the ability to get upfield through that B-gap on those stunts and kind of allow force the guard and the tackle to both be threatened by him such that the defensive end can stunt or sneak underneath. TE stunt is what most people call it. Let me know what you think of Skyler Gill-Howard. I know that this video wasn't only about him. I felt like Onwuzurike, Derek Moore were worthy of mention, even though I did a standalone video on Derek Moore a couple of days ago. If you haven't checked that one out, go check it out. It's 20-25 minutes talking about Derek Moore's game. At this point, that's probably what most of my film studies are going to be in terms of length. If I do 10 plays, about 2 minutes per play, somewhere in that range, is what I shoot for. So just to be upfront, that's generally what you're going to get. In any case, if you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments section, number 1. And finally, if you think other Lions fans would like to hear what I have to say about Skyler Gill-Howard, DJ Wonnum, Derek Moore, among others, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach. Appreciate you guys' time.